You ever watch a show, and there's this one scene, this one tiny moment, that just sticks with you way longer than it probably should? Like it gets under your skin, sits in your head. And suddenly you're lying there at night thinking, wow, that actually said something kind of huge? That's how I felt watching Enid and Thing in Wednesday Season 2. And I swear, the more I think about it, the more I realize this isn't just a funny gag. Or a throwaway joke. It's one of the smartest, most emotional points of the entire season. But here's the wild part. It's not even Wednesday herself who makes you stop and feel that way. It's Enid, the character people slept on in Season 1, stepping up. And reminding us what makes this show so damn good. So picture this. You're watching Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 2. The vibe is creepy and mysterious, as always. There are monsters, secrets, stalkers, all that. And then we cut to what? Thing, sitting alone in his little hideaway, surrounded by these tiny, empty liquor bottles. He's moving weird, sluggish, almost clumsy. And you instantly realize, wait, is Thing drunk? Like, a literal disembodied hand. Drunk. Already the scene is kind of absurd. But then Enid walks in, and that's when it stops being just silly. And turns into something way deeper. She doesn't just laugh at him. She doesn't just brush it off. She pauses and asks the same thing all of us are thinking, how does a hand even drink? And then she answers herself, with this little shrug. This little line that hits harder than you expect. It doesn't matter. Now think about that. Really think about it. Because what Enid's doing in that moment is actually huge. She's dropping this perfect truth bomb about what makes Thing work as a character at all. It's not about the logic. It's not about the mechanics. It's about the fact that we believe in him anyway. We give him the same grace, the same suspension of disbelief that we give human characters all the time. And Enid, of all people, is the one who recognizes that. She gives him respect, she gives him space, she doesn't reduce him to a joke. And I swear, the more you sit with that, the more you realize. Enid's not just talking about Thing. She's making a point about literally every misunderstood, overlooked character in this story. Maybe even about us, too. Because here's the truth. Thing is so much more than the Addams family's servant. He's more than just the creepy hand crawling around in the corner. He's loyal. He's funny. He's brave. And in Season 2, more than ever, he's emotional. He feels stuff. He gets let down when the family forgets his birthday. He gets frustrated being treated like he doesn't matter. And while Wednesday leans on him constantly, basically dragging him into every dangerous scheme, rarely do we see anyone stop and say, hey, thank you. Except Enid. Enid sees him. She always has. That's why their bond in this season feels so powerful. And it makes me wonder, are we all guilty of treating the things in our lives like tools instead of people? The ones who show up for us, no questions asked, but never get the credit they deserve? You know what? Let me break it down like this. There are 3 big reasons Enid's little exchange with Thing matters so much. And why this scene isn't just comic relief. First, it shows us who Thing really is. He has more personality in his thumb than half the normal characters in this show put together. He's not just comic relief. He has depth. Second, it shows us who Enid really is. She's not just the bubbly roommate with rainbow colors to balance out Wednesday. She's the heart. She's the reminder that empathy and kindness are strengths, not weaknesses. And third, it shows us something about ourselves. Because in some way, everyone watching has been either the Thing or the Enid in this situation. Either the person taken for granted, or the one trying to remind others, hey, this person matters. This effort matters. This love matters. And that's what makes this whole scene hit so hard. You start laughing because a drunk hand is absurd. But then you realize, behind the joke, there's something kind of heartbreaking. This is a character who literally risked his life for Wednesday. Remember when he was stabbed back in season 1? Barely survived? He's been her spy, her sidekick, her rescuer so many times. And still, his own family forgets his birthday. That's not nothing. That's crushing. And so seeing him drown his sorrows with miniature liquor bottles, you get it. It hurts because it's real. Who hasn't felt invisible before? Who hasn't wanted, just once, to be noticed, appreciated, loved without having to beg for it? Enid calling it out even in this casual, throwaway way, that's power. Because it's so easy to ignore the little absurdities in our lives, right? To brush off the weird friend, the awkward coworker, the sibling who doesn't quite fit. But Enid doesn't do that. She says, I see you. Doesn't matter how you do what you do, doesn't matter if it makes sense to anyone else, you matter. Period. And honestly, that's what makes Enid one of the unsung heroes of this show. Wednesday might be the investigator, the one driving the mystery. But Enid is the reminder of why any of it is worth caring about in the first place. And you know what else? This isn't just about Enid and Thing. It's the Addams family too. Because let's be real, Fester aside, the family treats Thing like a background character in their own lives. Morticia uses him. Gomez overlooks him. They act like he's just there. Always available. Always on call. And that montage where Thing finally calls them out? That's brutal. Because it's not just about them forgetting his birthday. It's about every time they've ignored him. Every time they've treated him like he has no feelings of his own. And how many of us know exactly what that feels like? To give and never give back? To be loyal to people who don't see you? That's why Enid standing by him feels so important. She doesn't just see Wednesday. She sees Thing. She respects Thing. She even saves his life later in the season. Their friendship, their weird little dynamic, it's one of the purest and most emotional things happening in this show. And maybe that's why audiences love it so much. Because it reminds you of that one friend you had growing up. The one person who always got you in a way no one else did. Or maybe it makes you realize you never had that friend, and you secretly wish you did. Either way, it's powerful. And it's why this storyline sticks. Let's be real, Wednesday would be nowhere without Thing. Like nowhere. He's basically her Watson to her Sherlock. Her wingman. Her conscience, even. He can pick locks, spy on enemies, deliver notes, play therapist. And yes, even knock back a few drinks when life gets too heavy. And the craziest part? None of it feels unnatural. We just accept it. Because, like Enid says, it doesn't matter. We don't need to understand all the how. What matters is that we feel the who. And that's the genius of this show. It gives us a creepy, kooky, spooky world full of monsters and mysteries, but what keeps us coming back isn't just the plot twists. It's the humanity. And yeah, sometimes that humanity shows up in the form of a literal severed hand. And sometimes it shows up in the roommate who refuses to let her friend disappear into the darkness alone. The bigger message? Stop underestimating the outcasts. Stop ignoring the ones you take for granted. Start noticing the things in your life who've been there all along. Because trust me, they notice when you don't. So let me leave you with this. Next time you're watching Wednesday, and you laugh at things stealing the scene, think about why it lands so well. Think about how much heart they packed into the hand. And how much it mirrors the real-world people in your life who quietly hold everything together. And if you're lucky enough to have an Enid around you, someone who reminds you that you matter, hold on to them. Because that's rare. That's gold. And if you don't, maybe it's time to be that Enid for someone else. Now, you already know what I'm gonna say, but hear me out. If you love this show, if you love diving into moments like this, and talking about what they really mean beyond the surface, then hit that like button right now. Seriously, it tells me you're part of this community, part of this weird, wonderful space where we get real about the shows we love. Drop me a comment and tell me, are you more of a Wednesday, a Thing, or an Enid? I honestly want to know. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because trust me, the second part of Season 2 is gonna give us even more to unpack. And you're not gonna want to miss it. Share this with a friend who's obsessed with Wednesday too, so they can join the conversation. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just me talking at you. This is us, building something together. A space where the things of the world finally get their spotlight.